Now, the recent polls in New Zealand are, as usual, confusing. But even those confused pollsters can't deny, one thing they can't deny, is that New Zealand First has come back. Against all their expectations, against all their opposition, against all their deliberate ignore, we came back. And here's the real point of those polls, if they can only read them. This party is seriously on the rise. We're seriously on the rise. What's from now? Ladies and gentlemen, to quote the famous group Starship, nothing is going to stop us now. We're going to declare a war on woke. And long live common sense. It's one of the most concerning and insidious cancers in our society today, the underlying creep of woke social engineering. A lot of people will tell you about it, but they've never mandated it, they've never announced it, it just is happening. This seeping of the leftist groupthink, and condoned by too many on the right, has been mostly hidden from society in the way it has implanted itself in New Zealand. Recently, New Zealand First announced a policy that apparently was absolutely, totally shocking. We announced that we wanted all public service hiring to be based on merit. To be based on skill and competence, not based on targets for diversity, equity, and inclusion ideology. And you should have seen some in the mainstream media. They were absolutely entranced with anger. Mind you, their job is to report both sides of the story. But they didn't. Think about how far our country has been taken down the left-wing rabbit hole. And a rabbit hole it is. When we have media and opposition politicians alike clutching their pearls of horror, that we want a meritocracy brought back to our public service. The reaction from some quarters was, it's a multi-vowel word. The reaction was apoplectic. Apoplectic. Unbelievable. We need common sense brought back to our country. We cannot underestimate the nature and importance of the war on woke. It is not only the DEI in our public sector, but also in our education system. New Zealand first set out in the election to get rid of the relationships and sexual education guidelines in our schools. And we have done that. We campaign on ensuring we have fairness in women's sports. That men cannot compete against women and girls. And we have done that. But there is still much we need to do to continue the fight, including fighting against the use of puberty blockers for children. We may have won some battles, but the war is yet to be won. New Zealand First has introduced members' bills that include fighting against woke banks, fighting to ensure that men cannot walk into women's and girls' bathrooms, to get rid of DEI in our public sector, and we have many more. What's breathtaking is the anger some of these minority people have when you bring them to account. They try and explain themselves away. They try and talk innocence when blind prejudice is what they're promoting. Now, about Paris 2016. In October 2016, the National Party signed up to the Paris Accord, setting targets that some of the world's largest economies have no intention of honouring. That means that no matter what we do, our sacrifice will make no difference. Worse still, in trying to honour our commitments, $22 billion plus of our hard-earned taxpayers' money will be siphoned offshore in a total self-defeating economic and climactic shambles. It's just common sense that instead of draining our money offshore into foreign economies, we invested in looking after our own environment. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the facts. Just under 60% of the world's CO2 emissions come from 4 countries: China, USA, Russia and India. New Zealand's emissions, by contrast, amount to only 0.17%. Why are we making a rod for our own backs? Punishing our farmers, punishing the provinces and our taxpayers and our economy when China or the US could sneeze and produce more CO2 overnight than we do in a year. And how is that solving the global climatic problems? And when did we last see a protest against those 4 major economies from the so-called climate change activists? Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. See you, sunshine. Get out of the way and get a haircut. Get a haircut. Get rid of him now. See you, sunshine. Where you go? See you. Give that man a Valium. And the next one. No. You're not disturbing us here. We're not going to be put off by you. You take your fascist views offshore. You take your fascism somewhere else. You're not running this place. Come on, security. Get rid of them. Take them out. As Elvis sang, looking for trouble? You've come to the right place. We are going to defend our democracy and we will throw all of those fascists out. If they don't understand that the tikanga in this place is like on marae. You hear people out. You don't shout and disrupt. The Labour Party's focus is now on issues such as race, when we're all one people, as Fenner Cooper said. On DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, whatever that means. Drumming up racial rhetoric that only serves to divide our country and ignores the vast majority of New Zealanders who just want a functioning health system, a top-class education for their kids, first world wages, and an affordable home. That's what all New Zealanders want, Maori and non-Maori, Ridis and non-Ridis, inside or outside. They don't want woke. Ladies and gentlemen, delivering those 4 things has always been the focus of New Zealand First. In this coalition government, there's a record number of Maori in Cabinet and where Parliament has the largest representation of Maori. But in our party, we are New Zealanders First. We're not going to disown the other part of our background, whether it be Irish, English, Welsh, Croatian, or dare I say Scottish. Gives you a natural suntan and a desire to save money. The figures out this week show our economy is now growing at 0.7% for the last quarter, which is just under 3% for the year coming forward, which shows that this coalition government is taking our country out of recession. We'd like to reflect on the fact that running an economy is like running a big ocean liner. Turning it around to a safer course takes time. But turn it around we have, and the last fiscal update out this week proves it. It's been clear for some time that the Labour Party had a forlorn choice: attempt to move to the centre, to hopelessly try to regain their votes, or push further towards the woke, cultural, globalist and Marxist left. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out which path they have sadly chosen. But that siloed left is now occupied by the MAORI Party and the Greens, with the same exact messaging, the exact same ideology and the exact same rhetoric. His speeches show just how far the Labour Party has descended away from its roots, and just how unambiguously they have abandoned and forgotten the very people and industries who founded their party over 100 years ago. We face now across the House parties that subscribe to an anthem of hate, a rissole of racism, and collection of communist-type economics that even China and Russia has long ago abandoned. The Labour Party has already left Middle New Zealand a long time ago. It's evident just how hollow and impotent they have become. The few remaining more conservative Labour MPs must wake up at night in cold sweats, thinking about how much Labour is now fighting for the space on the woke far left, instead of fighting for the workers, fighting for Middle New Zealand. Their focus now is on issues such as race, culture wars, rainbow wars, and Marxist ideals that, like, none of us ever expected to hear, and ignorantly joining both the Greens and Māori Party on the race to the bottom. How many Labour leaders on the front bench have ever had a real job? How many have ever run their own business? Almost none. And they want to represent you, the workers. And we're all workers in this business. All of us who are striving to help our country. In all our present difficulties, there is real hope. Don't give up. Make a commitment right here, right now, that together we are going to win. Thank you. Good afternoon. Safe travels. God bless you all, and God bless New Zealand.